Firstly, if you're going to buy any of these, do save yourself 5%. You can get 5% in cashback on any of your purchases over at switchup.gg. You don't need to do anything special, and you can still get your normal gold coins when you make purchases, and we get a tiny little kickback from Nintendo. Happy days.
Lovely, yeah, this is our midweek sales video. We've got 10 games to show you here from a variety of regions. The caveat with this midweek sales is that the prices are between 50 to 95% off to try and give you the best value for money.
Yeah, one of the best sales I've seen, certainly in 2024. What games are we looking at? Well, let's find out. Dungeons 4 is out now on Nintendo Switch, and the publisher have kindly sponsored this video. The aim of the game is to build a cozy and comfortable dungeon to suit your creature's needs and rule over them, giving me old school dungeon keeper vibes. Then you have to send them out into the overworld to remind the good people living there that the absolute evil rules. You have to gather up the evilness in new and dynamic ways and then unleash it upon the lush forests and plants of the overworld to bring them over to your way of thinking. On the flip side, you got to make sure that your own dungeon area is actually secure by placing traps, defending it with your creatures, because you do not want those pesky heroes getting in and putting an end to your plans. It's quite nice to be playing a game where you're actually working on the other side for a change, and as I say, yeah, it does give me those dungeon keeper vibes. There's full voice acting in here as well. This version also includes 2-player co-op multiplayer, where you each manage your own dungeon. Plus, all of the maps from the skirmish mode and the campaign are available for that co-op play. There are a few exclusives in this edition that I don't want to spoil too much, but overall you are getting the full package if you've played this one previously. All the prices are on the screen right now, and once again, a big thanks to the publisher for sponsoring this episode. Okay, we're going to flip back and forward between regions to make sure that everyone gets their fair share, and I'm going to start off with the US region that has a sale on Darksiders 3. Now, Darksiders 3 took the series in quite a different direction. It had more of a Souls-like feel to it. So if straight away that puts you off, then yeah, don't even consider this one. But it was also much more open. The world itself felt more like Darksiders 2, which began to open up, but even more so, you can go back and traverse all throughout the world. And this time around you play as Fury. The game also includes 2 DLCs, the Crucible and the Keepers of the Void, so there's a ton of content here. And like all of these, the sales don't go on too long, so if you're interested, pick them up quickly. The sale for this one goes on until the 1st in the US, and it goes on till the 3rd in the EU.
Next then we've got Death Row to Canada. This is currently 75% off, which is its joint lowest price ever, taking it down to £2.99 from its original price of about £12. This is like a survival roguelite where you play as pixelated characters making their way from zombie-infested America across to Canada, and you can play in single-player mode or preferably, as far as I'm concerned, with others. And as well as stopping off and having to fight the hordes of zombies, you also have to make decisions. It's a bit of almost like an updated version of the Oregon Trail in that respect. Very fun game, definitely worth this sale price. This one goes on until the 12th of November.
Then you've got Disco Elysium at 70% off. Doesn't need any introduction by me, really. I'm always banging on about it. One of the best adventure games I think of all time, and it's been so nice actually to see there's a couple of different teams, many of whom worked on Disco Elysium, that are working on new titles. So yeah, there's some good stuff coming. Whether or not that's going to be on the next platform for Switch or however it works, I'm just happy to see it, honestly. But this one at 70% off, like the previous game that Glen mentioned, matches its cheapest ever price, and it's an essential game on Switch in my opinion. That sale goes on again until November the 1st.
And a digital art book full of arresting and evocative visuals. Experience the game as it was intended, or share it with a comrade who appreciates a true RPG. Disco.
Right, next I want to highlight one that is a perfect sales game because it does have some flaws for sure, but I definitely enjoyed my time with it. This is GetsuFumaDen Undying Moon. This is a roguelite again. It's like a hack and slash game. Lovely art style, very traditional Japanese art style, and there's a lot more to it than you'd initially think in terms of how its mechanics work. Now, I'll be honest, it's been such a while since I've played it, I can't remember the complete nuances of it off by hand, but we did speak about this one in an interesting games video, and I will try to find that and I'll link it up in the top top right hand corner now, you can give that a watch. It's one that if you dedicate some time to it, it really does open up and become very enjoyable. Very difficult at the same time, but 50% off, bringing it down to just over £11 until the 3rd of November. It might be the time to give it a try.
Persona 5, which might well be the longest game I've ever played in my entire life. I don't think I've even finished it yet. After like 70 hours or something ridiculous. That's on its cheapest ever sale at 60% off. Universally acclaimed. People absolutely love it. I think it does all of its aspects so well. But yeah, it is a bit long-winded. There's no two ways about it. And if you don't like a ton of dialogue, then you are not going to like this game. There's that slice of life aspect to it as well, where you start kind of working in this guy's shop and helping him out, and then going into these alternate dimensions to essentially battle people's subconscious. Yeah, good game, very stylish, and at its cheapest ever price. If you've not played it, you can start the series here. You really can. I mean, I did. So yeah, that sale goes on until November the 1st.
Look at that! Hey, look out! Come to me! You can't be serious! Now, come at!
We then have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection. This has 13 games from Konami over a number of years, based of course on the Ninja Turtles. It's a nice variety of games. You've got some of the best beat-em-ups ever released, not just for Turtles games, but just in general. The arcade original, Turtles in Time, both its arcade and Super Nintendo version. You've got Hyperstone Heist as well. You've got the Game Boy games that play quite differently. They're platformers. One of them's almost like a Metroidvania as well. And you've got a few fighting games on here as well. A nice eclectic collection featuring the Turtles. You really can't go wrong. Certainly at 60% off up until the 3rd of November.
Yeah, and what you guys didn't see is behind the scenes I asked Glen, do you think that one's good enough? And his face, I mean, I was behind you and I could feel your face change. It was quite comical. I was just trolling you.
There was a snort of derision at the same time, for sure.
"13 Sentinels Aegis Rim needs a mention." In fact, someone on the sales video on Sunday was like, "You didn't mention it, you should have done." And I was like, yeah, it's a very good game. It is brilliant. It's 75% off, which I think matches its cheapest ever price. An interesting mix of real-time strategy and this kind of, what would you even call that, where you're kind of wandering around, just having conversations, like the Persona open world areas.
Yeah, it's almost like a side-scrolling visual novel, isn't it, to some degree? A few games do that. Definitely,
with those slice of life and time aspects built into it. And there's always a school, isn't there? There's always a high school. It's like the default. But yeah, 75% off. We do have a full review of that, so you can go check it out to find more info. Well worth picking up.
That was awesome! You got them all in one shot!
Slow down. Different combat situations might call for different weapons.
I'm back in the fight.
Okay, nice cheap one now. We've got Risk of Rain down to £2.24, 75% off. This one goes on a bit longer actually, the 17th of November. I believe its sequel is also on sale, Risk of Rain 2, but I do prefer the first one personally. This one, again, it's a roguelite. I'm clearly showing my love for roguelites today. And you need to basically just clear an area of enemies before going through a portal and moving on, but you'll pick up upgrades and weapon power-ups, what have you, as you go along, and they stack. You know what it's like, and you feel yourself getting more powerful until the game decides you've had enough fun and just destroys you mercilessly. But yeah, £2.24 for this game. This is a fantastic game. Don't be fooled by the visuals. It has a very simple pixel art style. The second one moves into 3D, but if you can look past that, or if, like me, you love pixel art, you'll find a fantastic game here. Huge amount of fun for just over £2.
Okay, last but not least for the US regions then, you've got Dying Light, the definitive edition at 83% off, down to $8.49. The thing is though, is you have this bundle that we don't have in Europe because of the Well, Dying Light didn't get released, did it, in Germany because of some censorship thing that happened, and Germany hold the Nintendo control over that or something, so it just didn't get released in Europe. You couldn't buy it. So there's a double pack that has Dying Light the Definitive Edition and Call of Juarez for $10.79. So either of those, and the second one actually goes on until November the 13th, so you got a bit of time there. Yeah, cheapest they've ever been. Brilliant game, Dying Light, first-person survival RPG with a load of zombies. Has a brilliant co-op mode, this does, that we started playing, didn't we?
Yes, it was great fun.
We need to go
good.
back to this, I think, because we had an issue with the online. I think something had happened. My internet screwed up, and we couldn't play and it just got annoying, so we left it. But it'd be great to work through the rest of that. So yeah, that's Dying Light and me making plans for what game's going to be next. 83% off, lowest ever price until November the 1st.
Don't drop me! Get down there! We can't let them take it!
Lovely, and the last one then, I'm going to stick a horror game in there, bearing in mind Halloween is on the horizon. This is CARRION. Now this is quite an interesting game where it's called itself a reverse horror game, as you play as the creature. Basically, you are an amorphous blob that breaks out of a massive test tube in obviously some sort of research facility and needs to try and escape this, taking on the scientists and what have you, absorbing them as you go along and making your way through a corridor of, grates and gaps in the wall, and you can slide through. And it's very clever how it's been animated in this pixel style. Usually sells for £17.99. It's currently 75% off that price, bringing it down to just below £5. Very good game. I reckon one of those that's possibly gone under the radar and worth picking up if you want a scary game this week.
Lovely. I can imagine someone going to the doctor, what's wrong with me? And he's like, you're an amorphous blob. It's charming. That's it for this week for our sales. I think there's some cracking deals. As I said, this is one of the best sales I've ever seen. I said it on Sunday, and yeah, brilliant titles, well worth picking up. Do save yourself the money. Get yourself 5% back over at switchup.gg. You don't need to do anything special, just buy your credit. Comes back in cash back, doesn't it, Glenn?
Does indeed, yeah. There's also a link down there to Play Asia if you're looking to import any games. I'm going to be doing just that soon with the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, getting a release soon over there in Asia. And what's the other one I was looking at? Clock Tower.
Nice.
Clock Tower Rewind, another one I'm picking up. But yeah, down below, there's a link. Use it if you want to import anything. Use the code, you get yourself 5% off your order. Quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.